I ever saw Andy Sixx in person, I'd probably beat his skull in.
What's up, everybody? I'm Finn McKenty. This is the Punk Rock MBA, and welcome back to my Most Hated Bands series. In this series, I look at bands that, well, people hate a lot, and I try to unpack why people hate them so much, and most importantly, what we can learn from it. Because anytime people feel so strongly about anything, I think there's something that we can learn from like a marketing and consumer psychology perspective. Last time we looked at Attila, Amir, and Bring Me the Horizon, and today we're going to look at 3 more bands: Brokencyde, Black Veil Brides, and Asking Alexandria. But first, I want to thank Tautronics for sponsoring this video. I spend a lot of time sitting here working, and you know what drives me absolutely insane when I'm trying to work? Noise! And that's why I was so stoked when Tautronics sent me these SoundSurge 46 active noise canceling headphones. Because with one little flick of this switch, I go from to... And because they're Bluetooth, that means no wires, and also setup was super easy. I paired them with my iPhone in like 10 seconds. And as far as the design, I actually was not expecting these to be so nice. The unit itself is really light, the ear cups are like super soft. And they also come with this hard shell case, which is awesome because I'm always ruining my headphones, throwing them on my backpack with no protection, so problem solved as far as that goes. So thanks again to Tautronics for sending these over, and if you want to get a pair of these bad boys, just hit that link in the description. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Band number 1, Brokencyde. I sincerely think these guys might be the most hated band ever. Like, I'm aware that lots of people hate Nickelback, but they also sell out stadiums, so obviously some people like them. But have you ever met anybody that likes Brokencyde, or ever even heard of anybody that likes Brokencyde? And if you were around back in 2008 when their song Freaxxx came out, which by the way, I'm a little bit embarrassed even saying the name of it, someone you know shared this video on Facebook or MySpace or Twitter or whatever and said something along the lines of, "What in the is this?"
Let's get fucking freaky now. Let's get freaky now. Let's get freaky now.
Because honestly, nobody had ever done anything like this before. Like crunk rap meets like weird bad house with inhaled deathcore screams on top of it. In this insane video with some like skinny scene guys standing in front of somebody else's house, awkwardly dancing with these girls that look like they're Forever 21 employees on their lunch break. Oh, and also a dancing pig mascot just kind of appearing randomly sometimes. And sort of like with Attack Attack, there was just this endless stream of blog posts talking about how terrible they were.
Brokencyde are literally worse than juvenile cancer and world hunger combined.
And those bloggers were probably overreacting a little bit, but let's be clear, that song is bad. And it's actually way better than most of their other songs, which are really, really bad. So this won't be the case where I make the argument that this band everybody hates and says they're terrible are actually good, because, well, in this case, the band is not good. I will admit that I semi-ironically liked a couple of their songs back then, but that's when I was partying a whole lot, and listening to it now sober, so the band was not good. But here's the thing. Honestly, they were several years ahead of the curve in terms of predicting like current trends in rap. I realized this a couple years ago when a friend of mine who's like a hip hop producer, he did that song Gucci Gucci, if you remember that.
Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada.
He texted me and he was like, "Dude, rap now sounds like Brokencyde." I hadn't really followed rap for a couple years, so I was like, wait, what? But then I listened to a couple of the songs he sent me and I was like, wow, you're not wrong. Like, what the hell is happening? Listen to this Brokencyde song from 2007, 12 years ago. And then compare that to this song by Bones. Or to use an even more current example, this Scarlord song. It's not that far off, right? Like, I think Bones and Scarlord are definitely doing it better than they did, but there's no denying that they were doing it way earlier than anybody else. Kind of made me see them in a different light. And to be clear, I'm not saying that they were actually like brilliant avant-garde artists who actually were making great music all along and we just didn't appreciate it, because I don't think they were that. But they were way, way ahead of the curve in terms of like combining scene music and screaming with rap. They were doing that well over a decade ago, and I think you kind of have to give them some credit for that.
Free, 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 free.
So to me, the takeaway here is that it's good to be ahead of the pack, but it's not good to be too ahead of the pack. If you do something like a decade before everybody else, they're just gonna think you're weird and they're not gonna get it. And then somebody else is gonna come along a couple years ago and do a slightly improved version of the thing you did, and they're gonna get all the credit for it. So basically what I'm saying is timing matters. You can't be too late or too early. And next up, Asking Alexandria.
Now this rants on a shit-tacular fucking band known as Asking Alexandria.
Okay, so just to make sure we're all familiar with the band, this is what they sound like.
Tequila's got me easy, dancing with the ladies. I don't know when I'm coming home.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. That's actually not Asking Alexandria. That's their singer Danny Worsnop's solo album when he decided to go from playing metalcore to Walmart country. But that's a whole other video. This is Asking Alexandria.
'Cause when you're rocking me, rolling me, loving me, holding me.
Oh, crap, I'm sorry. That's not Asking Alexandria either. I'm such an idiot. That's Danny Worsnop's other solo album when he stopped doing Walmart country and started doing like Macy's Christmas music. This is Asking Alexandria. So it actually took me a little while to put my finger on exactly why people hate this band so much, because honestly, there's really nothing especially bad about them. I mean, if you don't like this style of metalcore, then obviously you're not gonna like them, but I think they did it as well as anybody, so what's the deal?
The vocals, oh my god, they are beyond god awful.
And I think the reason is they got really big really fast. Like, they were the closest thing you're gonna see to an overnight success. They became the biggest band in that genre like way faster than any other new band had in quite a while. I actually wrote this cover story about them for Substream magazine back in like 2009. I think they'd only been a band for like a year. And as I was researching it, I heard all these stories about how they were playing these huge rooms already. There was this bidding war to sign them that Sumerian won. They had like millions of MySpace fans, and I thought all this stuff was bullshit that they had just like cooked up or fabricated somehow, but no, actually it turns out it was all true. They really did blow up that fast.
I call it the terrible whiny emo fucking style vocals. That's what I call them.
And as most of you watching this probably know, they proved that that was not like a fluke or a lucky stroke or anything like that, because they went on to become even bigger. They have, I think, 3 Billboard Top 10 albums. As far as I know, they ended up being the biggest of all those like risecore, crabcore bands by a good margin. And I think that's really what made people so mad. People hate on anything that they perceive to be an overnight success. And if you're one of the people that hated the whole like risecore thing and you hated scene kids, well, Asking Alexandria were kind of the mascot for their generation of it, just like Bring Me the Horizon was their mascot for the previous generation. And so if you wanted to say fuck scene kids, then you would point the finger at Asking Alexandria as kind of a proxy for their fans.
Let's see if I can try to recreate their fucking fabulous vocals. But they would go over here,
And by the way, I do want to make one thing clear. Even though it's kind of busting Danny's balls for doing like the country and pop stuff, I actually think it's really cool that he branched out into other genres like that, and I think he pulled it off really well. I actually hadn't listened to Asking Alexandria or his solo stuff in quite a while, and I was like, shit, Danny is actually a pretty damn good vocalist. But that said, yes, I will continue to make fun of him for being a British metalcore kid playing country music. It's my duty as an American. I'm actually hoping he does something even weirder next, like maybe a reggae album. Come on, Danny, make it happen. Start growing those dreads out now. And lastly, Black Veil Brides.
I don't call them the Black Veil Brides, I call them Black Veil Brides.
I did a poll on my Instagram where I asked people what bands I should talk about in this video, and Black Veil Brides was by far the #1 suggestion. I became aware of how much people hate them through Metal Sucks back in 2009 or whenever Knives and Pens came out. They had a section on the site called Shit Stains on the Ass of the Universe, where they would basically make fun of like scene bands and all the typical metal nerd kind of ways. And the Knives and Pens video was a big hit in that section. And actually, I kind of understand why people made fun of him back then, because listening to it now, that song is not good. I remembered it being a little bit better than it actually is, and the same is true for the video too. I hadn't watched it in years until I was researching this video, and I was actually kind of surprised by how bad it is. Like, I remembered it as being some sort of like big, high-budget cinematic thing, and it's definitely not. It looks and sounds more like a high school project, which actually it might be, considering how young Andy was at the time. So if you thought that song was lame back then fair enough, it's not great. And actually, I'm sure they would probably agree with you. Like, I'm guessing when Andy watches that video now, he's like, we're all gonna start somewhere, right? But what I don't really understand is like the level of spiteful neckbeard hate that they continued to get for years and years afterwards, because actually the band got quite a bit better. And unlike a band like, say, Attila or Amir, where they've got a frontman that really like enjoys playing the heel and clapping back at haters, Black Veil Brides are really not like that at all. I personally have only had pretty brief interactions with them. I had Jake on my old podcast years ago. I met Andy for a little while at the APMAs, but everybody I know says that they're all like super chill, nice, professional guys. So what's the deal? Well, I think we know the answer, right? They hate Andy Biersack.
If I ever saw Andy Sixx in person, I'd probably fucking beat his skull in.
Number one, because let's be honest, he is an extraordinarily beautiful man. I know some of you guys think it's weird when I talk about how good looking the guys in these bands are, but come on, how could we possibly talk about Black Veil Brides without taking a moment to acknowledge what a just absolutely stunning man Andy Biersack is?
You're beautiful.
And when confronted with such a stunning, beautiful specimen of a man, what is some neckbeard incel metal nerd going to do? They're gonna shit on him.
Yeah, I dare Andy to freaking say that to my face, because I definitely look more like a man than he does.
And look, I get it. It makes me feel bad too that people as beautiful as him or Justin Bieber exist. But that's my problem, not theirs, right? And I know this sounds funny, but actually I'm being serious. This is just a classic example of how insecurity is at the root of so many of these things. Talking shit is not gonna make you feel any better. So knock it off. It's rude. And also, it makes you look like a huge asshole.
Go fuck yourself, Andy Bresnik, Andy Sixx, whatever the fuck you are. Whether you're a girl or a guy, I can't even fucking tell. You're a piece of shit. You don't deserve any bit of respect from anybody.
And also, I think people have maybe an inaccurate view of who Andy is and why he does all this.
He wants to be the scene Justin Bieber.
He just wants all the fangirls to love him.
Now, I don't know Andy, and I could be all wrong, but I don't think he gives a shit about fangirl attention. I just don't think he's that guy. I think he is a craftsman. And just like some people are craftsmen of like carpentry or boat building, his craft is being a rock and roll frontman.
Your job is to live the fantasy other people only dream about.
Give me some rock star attitude.
I don't think he wants to be Justin Bieber. I think he wants to be Gene Simmons. And by that, I don't mean like a shamelessly greedy dick. I mean, he wants to be a great showman. I think that's what motivates him. I think he wants to be a great entertainer in the same way that a basketball player wants to be a great athlete. And the fan attention is just a byproduct of that. Because what a lot of people don't realize is he's been working towards this since he was like a literal actual child.
Just put your mind to it and then you can do it.
And I know this because, weirdly, the girl I was dating at the time back in the mid-2000s used to cut Andy's mom's hair, and she actually gave Andy his first, like, scene haircut. He brought in a drawing of Nikki Sixx as reference. And I remember even back then, he was always going to auditions, doing, like, TV commercials, coming up with ideas for his band. He was putting in serious work when the other kids were playing, like, Hamtaro on Game Boy, you know, for, like, a decade before Black Veil Brides even existed.
I worked it out with the performance arts school that I went to, that I would go out to Los Angeles, this is when I was 15, and spend about a month and a half out there and try to do some acting stuff.
So to me, whether you like the band or not, like I said, I don't think they're the best band in the world, but I think regardless of whether you like their music, you gotta respect that level of grind. To me, Black Veil Brides is a testament to just the simple idea that hard work pays off. This is what happens when you have a plan and you work relentlessly towards implementing that plan for years and years and years and years, just like Andy has. And also, let's never forget the amazing moment when he just absolutely dunked on every loudmouth metal nerd ever.
I know that you fat motherfucker, and you right there, you hate us, but I'm holding a heavy as shit award, so fuck with me right now, motherfuckers. Here's the thing, Black Veil Brides have a song on the radio, you have a fucking fat ass. Fuck me, come on.
All right, my friends, that was episode number 2 of Most Hated Bands. Let me know what you think of this episode. Let me know what bands you think should be in future episodes, because I really like doing this series. I don't know, maybe that's weird, but I like it, so I'm gonna do more of them. Before I let you go, I wanna thank all the people who support me on Patreon at the True Cult level or above. And those people are Andy B, Anthony C, Amber G, B Sacrilegious, End of May, Jeff W, Jordan H, Jonas E, Justin H, Luke S, Michael B, Miller Militant Me, Nick G, Ridley H, Ryan W, John R, and Wally P. You guys are true cult fans. I thank you very, very much for your support. I sincerely appreciate it. You have my eternal gratitude. If you would like to support me on Patreon, there's a link in the description below. And with that, I'm going to sign off for now, but I will see you next time.